Hello, I'm Blair. This is Matt. We're from Lakeville Liquors. We're down here at store number 1 today on Heritage Drive. We'd like to talk to you today a little bit about some food, some wines, and some holiday fun. Beginning with Thanksgiving, typical fare includes ham, turkey, stuffing, and all the dressings that go with it. What I like to do is pair a nice sweet wine with the spiciness or the saltiness of the ham or the dryness of the turkey. I like to start with a Riesling. A Riesling is a white grape, should be served chilled, slightly chilled. It has great flavors of melon, apricots. It's sweet, it cuts through the saltiness, and it can be enjoyed with a variety of foods, including hot, spicy Asian food as well. Or
Sweet, really sweet fruit dishes such as pork with applesauce or
absolutely, any kind of fruit glaze on a piece of pork or ham would work well.
Thanks for that. It goes really well with almost any kind of food, anywhere between sweet and salty, because it's made in so many different kinds of sweetness and so many different kinds of flavors.
Contrary to popular belief, you do not have to have a white wine with a white meat. A nice Pinot Noir pairs very well with ham and turkey as well.
Typically a very light wine, Pinot Noir, can have flavors of cherry, cassis. A brand new Pinot Noir, to say a young Pinot Noir, usually has to be drunk immediately, but some fine Pinot Noirs can be aged for 3 to 5 years.
Beginning the third Thursday of every November, Beaujolais in France releases its latest vintage. This wine is very fresh, very fruity, and needs to be drunk almost immediately. It's a holiday tradition in my house, and I know it's a holiday tradition in a lot of other households. It pairs very well with turkey and ham, as well as many other dishes, because it is so light and fruity.
And it goes from one end of the meal to the other. It goes from, you can have fruit before the meal, you can have ham and turkey during the meal, you can pair it with dessert after the meal just because of its severe fruitiness.
It absolutely does. Moving on towards Christmas, a lot more red meat. I'm thinking roast, maybe a nice tenderloin steak. When you're talking red meat, generally speaking, you'd like to pair a strong flavored wine with the stronger flavored meat. I like to begin with a fantastic Cabernet.
One of the heaviest and the driest of the noble red grapes. You can pair it with any sort of heavy red meat, like a good solid pork loin or a steak.
Generally speaking, it is the deepest, darkest of the red wines with the longest finish and the most tannins. Tannins generally are like the suckiness on your tongue.
If you don't enjoy that tannic kind of taste, you can go to a Merlot. Sorry, I'm skipping.
That's
You
fine.
can go to a Merlot, which is just a step underneath the Cabernet. They almost have identical qualities and characteristics, it's just that the Merlot tends to be a little bit less tannic, and so it appeals to a bigger variety of people.
It has a more velvety texture to it. It's a little bit smoother on your palate.
Or even maybe a step under that would be a Shiraz, which I like to explain as a Merlot with a little bit of spice. It usually has the same flavors. It's just got sometimes touch of cinnamon, sometimes touch of oak, sometimes touch of currant, berries, and other spices.
It's Merlot with pizzazz?
Yeah, exactly. It can have like a mocha or a chocolate, or it can be deep and dry.
I like chocolate with a good Cabernet too. Moving on, let's talk about fish. We got usually 3 different basic types of fish. There's shellfish, there's a flaky white type fish, and then there's a more fatty, oily type fish. With the shellfish, I like to go with a Sauvignon Blanc, maybe even a nice champagne. It pairs very well with the meal, and
both of them have that herbally citrus mix in their flavors. Both the champagne and the Sauvignon Blanc that goes really well with the herbal citrus that usually pairs in a sauce with a shellfish. You get like a lemon sauce or some sort of a dill sauce that'll go along with the shellfish.
When I'm eating my walleye fillets, I like to get a good Pinot Grigio. The reason is it's crisp, it's clean, it's fresh, just like the walleye. The walleye has a good flaky, tender meat, and the style of Pinot Grigio is the same. It's tender, it's fresh, and it pairs perfectly with walleye or any kind of white flaky fish.
Again, another citrusy flavored white wine, only this one tends to be a little bit more fruity.
I like the crispness. It's clean.
It is. It's more of a clean, doesn't have as many herbal qualities, minerally qualities.
What would you do with like a salmon or a tuna steak?
Heavier fish calls for a heavier white wine. I'd say probably a good thick, heavy Chardonnay, a good buttery domestic Chardonnay. Usually pairs well because they've got that same citrus apple tangerine, but it's got a lot more dryness to it and a lot more heaviness to the actual wine texture. Goes a lot better with a heavier textured fish.
It's more similar in style. Again, more same, or just the opposite. With desserts, as I said earlier, I love to have a good Cabernet with chocolate. On the other side, you can go sweet with sweet. A nice port is always a great idea for any kind of desserts, especially with chocolates. The port tends to partake of nutty, caramely type flavors, and it works well with desserts.
Very sweet and actually fortified with spirits, usually brandy, which was originally intended to aid in its transportation, actually is the major basis for its flavor nowadays. And I just learned this the other day by reading a book. I got to throw this in. I thought it was named after Portugal because all port comes from Portugal. It's actually not. It's named for the town of Oporto, which is the second biggest town in Portugal.
When we're talking desserts, we're often talking fruits. When we're talking fruits, I'm talking Asti. Asti is a sweet champagne-style wine, generally considered, I suppose, a sparkling wine. It pairs well with cheesecakes as well as any kind of fruits. I know a lot of people, including my wife, that like to drop a strawberry right in the glass.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, me too, for some reason. Strawberries and sweet fruits seem to go really well with that.
It works well. When you're talking about a cream style pie, be it, you know, apple cream or banana cream, I'm thinking more like a muscat.
I love these in particular because a lot of the times they're really, really sweet. They come in small bottles because you don't need much. They're really, really sugary, really, really sweet, and a lot of the times they taste like just like liquid fruit, like a liquid apricot or a liquid peach.
Makes you go like this.
Yeah, it really does. It kind of sticks to the top of your mouth. It's really thick and syrupy. Well, that's a quick overview of some of the flavors and varieties available to you for your holiday fare.
Bottom line is, no one can tell you what you like. Find a wine that appeals to you, figure out why it appeals to you, and experiment from there. If you like Chardonnay with everything, by all means enjoy it. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to come into any one of our 3 convenient locations, and our knowledgeable staff will be thrilled to help you out. Remember, drink what you like.